Okay, I lied. This isn't really a PowerPoint presentation, but I'm having no success making audio files. So there are no other slides here. Just kind of close your eyes and listen for a little bit. I want to talk to you about active reading and your journals. In the introduction for the student, Samuel Cohens explained why active reading is important and suggested ways to become more active readers. He says, working with ideas. Handling the ideas of others and presenting your own is the most important thing writers do, and so the most important thing for writers to learn. In addition to your papers in this class, your journals are significant demonstrations of how well you are reading actively. When I read your responses to questions in the journal and on the message boards, I look for how actively you read the question, what thoughts you might have had before you answered, and then finally, whether you read your own writing critically after you'd written and asked yourself, did I accurately and completely answer the questions asked? When I discover that you have not answered the question directly, but talked all around the topic, I conclude one of three things. One, you may have misread the question. Two, you may have assumed that writing lots of materials related to the same topic might suffice. Or three, possibly you began to answer directly, but got sidetracked and forgot to complete your answer or reread what you'd written. And in each of those cases, I know that you are not reading actively and reading critically either the question itself or your own written response to it. Now, Cohen suggested that to train yourself to become a better active reader, you should read consciously. Ask yourself the question, why am I reading this? And remember the answer as you're reading. He goes on to say, read critically. Think of reading as a conversation with the writer. It's a dialogue, two-way between you and the writer. And in your journals, the writer is, as a rule, your instructor. So this instructor's questions fall into several categories. One is simply self-reports. I ask you, please tell me what self-directed activities you've completed during this week. The answers to those are very straightforward. I read pages X through X in the Little Brown Handbook, and I completed exercises on page such and such. Then I found a video on slideshare.net about primary and secondary sources. Here's the link. That's all that's required, just a direct answer. Sometimes the questions are more designed to test your comprehension in what you've read. I'll ask things like, if you compared author A's ideas on water desalination with author B's, did you find significant differences? And if so, what are they? You would have to think again in depth about what you get from author A's essay and author B's essay, compare the two, and come up with a response. That's reading comprehension in a little greater depth. Another possible question is simply a demonstration of competence. For example, I ask you to rewrite the following sentences, changing them from first-person point of view to third-person point of view. And if you'd read the lessons under the content link on point of view or done any additional research on that subject, you should be able to do that little mini test of those particular sentences, translating them into third-person point of view. And finally, some of the questions are designed to develop a deeper understanding of what you may have read. And these questions ask you to probe deeper into the use of language or choice of details or tone or point of view of an essay. Those questions end up sounding things like, what is the significance of the fact that Woolf titled her essay, The Death of a Moth? You'd have to think again, ask yourself again, given what I got out of the deeper understanding of that essay, why do I think she gave it that title? In each of these cases, the goal is to help you accomplish one or the other of two stated outcomes of this class. First, that you learn actively during the course of the class, and two, that you learn to think critically and think creatively. And even though you may not be aware of it, how actively you are reading is assessed not only in your essays, but also in your journals and in your weekly discussion board comments. Now, when I receive a journal in which the student has left a question blank without contacting me by phone or by email or on the Q&A board, I conclude that someone is just going through the motions without engaging in critical thinking skills. If you have a question about my question, why are you not getting in touch with me? That person is doing the equivalent of missing critical practices before an important football game. The results show up as a result of that neglect. And you can't develop your thinking muscles without practicing every day any more than you can expect to execute great plays by daydreaming about them.